Hi, welcome to my interpersonal communication presentation. My name is Sara Van Buren, and this presentation is for class HSCO 508. Slide. To begin, I'm a wife to a wonderful husband, a mom to two incredible girls, ages 5 and 14, and I'm working towards an MA in Human Behavioral Services Counseling with a Cognate in Ministry. I own a nutrition consulting business here in Florida, but my hope and dream is to develop it into a nutrition ministry as well, based out of my home church. Important and central to all of my hopes and dreams is my personal behavioral blend, as was specifically designed and planned by God. Slide. So, what is interpersonal communication? Stewart believes it is to emphasize uniqueness, responsiveness, reflectiveness, unmeasurability, and addressability. He states that it is the kind of contact that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. Authors Day, DeVry, Leith, Peters, and Trapal further emphasize the importance of listening. They tell us that the simple act of listening to another person can be profound and convey what the person says is important and that the listener is in fact interested. Slide. There are 6 communication features applied in all communication that just show, in fact, how complicated it really is, how complex. First is meaning. We make it collaboratively, not alone. Second is choice, both the choices that we consider and contemplate and the choices we make automatically through experience and scripting. Third is culture, be it ethnicity, gender, age, class, sexual orientation. These things are all intertwined in communication. Fourth is identity. Communication negotiates identity and self constantly. And fifth is conversation, the most influential event in communicating. Sixth is nexting, a crucial skill in which we ask, what can I help to happen next? Slide. The overarching goal that I have set for myself is to listen more empathetically. I need to always allow others to finish what they have to share without judging them or judging their issues. I need to try to see from their point of view, avoiding distraction and truly listening, both verbally and non-verbally. By allowing others to speak openly, getting things off their chest, tension is reduced, respect and cooperation is increased, and interpersonal communication is encouraged. According to Sai Kumar, the goal of empathetic listening is to really hear the other person, to begin to see things as he or she sees them, rather than looking at what he or she is saying only from your point of view. Slide. Rather than ritual listening, in which I wait and prepare a response, something I have a terrible habit of doing, I need to focus on what the speaker is truly communicating to me. Peterson tells us to hold what the talker says gently in your hand so it won't break, and then hand it back so the talker can see it better. I can accomplish this through mindful listening. According to the Buddhist philosophy, the essence of Zen is to be in the present, keeping consciousness alive to the present reality. A reality in which I should be aware of my surroundings but not distracted by them, and focusing on the task or issue at hand. A reality in which I should wash the dishes just to wash the dishes. Slide. So, how does God suggest we communicate? This is addressed throughout the scriptures. First is James 1:19 tells us to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Proverbs tells us to heed instruction and listen to advice, that if we answer before we hear, it is our folly and our shame. That silence is wise and closed lips intelligent. God is very clearly telling us to listen mindfully and empathetically. Slide. As I work to improve my mindful listening skills, there are several identity aspects at play. For one, family of origin is one of the most important aspects of identity. So what aspects of my identity can be attributed to my family of origin? For one is my tendency to enter conversations prepared to respond and defend rather than listening. I recall many intense conversations in my past with only win or lose endings, which do not enlarge the conversation. Another aspect is verbal and nonverbal cues. While I've grown to recognize cues fairly accurately, I fail to notice the cues that I myself am using. What am I portraying as the listener to the talker? Does the talker believe that I'm actually interested in truly listening? Perhaps not. It's something I need to consider going forward. The third aspect I'd like to focus on is perception. It's important to remember that in all situations, everyone has a different perception. Many people struggle to separate external reality from internal experience. People often label situations based on past experience, and this results in judging others inaccurately, but also making false assumptions about how we are being judged. These assumptions are huge roadblocks to empathetic communication. Another huge roadblock is noise pollution. That can be inner distraction, like having a closed mind, hearing what we want to hear, biased listening based on perception, as noted earlier, or time lag, which leaves room for attributional error and stereotyping. Or it can be external distractions, such as sudden noises, like a cough or a sneeze, temperature, it can be hot, it can be cold, talking around us, like our children. It can be very hard to tune out. Even tiny things such as a coworker, cooking their lunch in the microwave. The smell alone can distract us from mindful listening. Slide. So this class has provided a great deal of clarity about my personality and the role it plays in my conversations. This knowledge is crucial to enlarging my conversation. The me I'm expected to be is enthusiastic, knowledgeable, well-prepared. I don't dominate. I don't demand. However, I do speak my mind. The me I really am, however, includes several other personality traits, including some negative ones. I remain goal-oriented and enthusiastic, but I tend to dominate. I research and investigate in order to be right instead of preparing to listen. It makes me insensitive and cold with those I cherish most. Slide. So my weakness, my nasty tendency, I have titled it my D factor. My dominating factor, it's made me my own worst enemy. I'm too confident, I'm too sure, rarely soft or sweet. I lack warmth and kindness, and I find fault quickly, becoming moody and demanding in a very outspoken way. But I've also learned that, slide, I have the strength of insightfulness, especially with clients. I interpret their motives accurately. I understand their point of view quite empathetically. And I'm really good at adjusting my emotions and responses to their needs. So these are some traits that would probably benefit my communications with family, and I need to learn how to bridge that gap. Slide. So what are the personal barriers that I need to focus on? Scripting. I have got to stop reacting based on my experience, much of which has been very negative, and it results in negative judgments and negative responses. Fast thinking, lag time, also my enemy. I think quickly, so I have a lot of time left in which my mind wanders. I don't pay full attention to what's being said. Snap judgments. I often forget to give anyone the benefit of the doubt. These judgments are based on experience, and my confidence, while great in business, is a major intimate relationship barrier, and leads to number 4. Attributional errors. I forget to consider the external and internal factors that may contribute to a person's actions or words. I forget to remember that we each have our own unique behavioral blend. And then my tendency towards rightness. That often results in hurtful messages. I have a very bad habit of interrogating through questions that I already know the answer to. And this class has helped me recognize the accusational tones of such questions. My hurtful messages begin nasty flat brain tangos between family members, and this is a tango I'm learning to avoid. Slide. So to break these barriers, I need to become aware of my issues and my hot buttons and accept that I can make mistakes. I will not always be right. I need to take responsibility for my contributions rather than pointing fingers or placing blame. I need to ask what I can do next to enlarge the conversation and alter my usual response by saying, I hear you and I have a different perspective. Slide. With as much as I can do to improve my listening skills, it's all for nothing if God's not the foundation of my interpersonal communication efforts. Ephesians 4:29 says, let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to whoever hears. I really like that Stuart encourages us to listen to others as though God were speaking through them. This is very important. And to conclude, God will be my rock and my foundation as I focus on my overarching goal. As I pray for the strength to enlarge the conversation with my husband, to avoid snap judgment with my children, to strengthen communication with my family, to repeat back in order to clarify meaning with friends, to avoid attributional error with clients, apply nexting when meeting new people, listen mindfully to God, and listen empathetically to everyone. Thank you for joining me in this part of my interpersonal communication journey, and may God give you all the strength to enlarge your communication and your conversations too.